Hey everyone! So let's dive into something I know a lot of you have been curious about, the upcoming banner lineup, stretching all the way from version 5.8 to 6.3. Even if you're not planning on pulling for every single character, just having a general idea of who's arriving when, what reruns we might see, and how new characters are shaping up can seriously help you plan, especially if you're free to play or just trying to make your precious Primogems count. With how packed some of these future patches are looking, having a roadmap is probably more important now than ever before. Now, before we jump into the specifics, a quick disclaimer. Everything we're about to discuss is based on solid leaks or highly credible patterns, but things can still change, especially the further out we go. Generally, information about brand new characters tends to be more reliable than rerun predictions, so just keep that in mind when you're planning ahead.
Who else is trying to pull for their favorite character but the Primogems just aren't enough? Don't worry, I've got a way to save money and get double the Genesis crystals. This is Lootbar.gg. It works just like the in-game top-up system, but with up to 25% off, and new users even get a 10% extra discount. See this? The regular $100 pack only costs $81 on Lootbar, and each update they release an exclusive $72 bundle available for your first purchase every version. All you need is your UID. No password, no login. Just pick your bundle, select your server, and your crystals get delivered in about 5 minutes. Lootbar has awesome reviews. It's fast, secure, and trusted by tons of players. If you're planning to recharge for Genshin or Star Rail, don't waste your money. Click the link in the description or pinned comment and top up now with Lootbar. Safe, fast, and way more affordable. And don't miss that 10% off while it lasts.
So, let's kick things off with version 5.8. The big new face here is INEFFA, a 5-star electro polearm user. You've probably already seen her model floating around light blue hair with straight bangs, 2 buns tied at the back of her head, wing-shaped headphones, and a cape that gives her a really cool, futuristic vibe. Depending on when you're watching this, her animations and gameplay might even be out already, so definitely check Twitter or Reddit for the full showcase. But here's the gist of her kit. INEFFA is a support character built around enhancing electro-charged reactions with something called Lunar Electro-Charged. Her elemental skill creates a shield that scales with her attack and is particularly strong against electro damage. It also summons a small robot called Velsitar, which deals AoE electro damage every 2 seconds. Her elemental burst launches Velsitar for an initial hit and then leaves it on the field, or refreshes it if it's already out. It also buffs the whole team with 20 seconds of elemental mastery, scaling from her attack stat. The really interesting part is her custom mechanic, Lunar Electro-Charged. This modifies normal electrocharge reactions into a new form that deals bonus damage based on her attack. At max, you're looking at around a 14% bonus damage from the reaction alone. With constellations, it gets even crazier, with extra explosions on enemy death, flat energy regeneration, and AoE nukes when thunderclouds are nearby. She's really shaping up to be the go-to electro-charged enabler and buffer. As for the rest of the 5.8 banner lineup, we actually have some early info from HomDG a source that's been very reliable for 4-star and banner predictions. According to them, the version 5.8 banners will feature INEFFA as the new 5-star, alongside reruns for Mualani, Chaska, and Citlali. That would make it a pretty heavy Natlan-focused lineup, which honestly makes a lot of sense considering it's the final patch of the region. If this turns out to be accurate, it also means we won't be seeing a Yellen rerun in 5.8, which might surprise some players. She is getting a new skin in this patch, and Hoyoverse usually pairs skins with reruns, so her absence would definitely break that pattern. Still, this HomDG lineup seems consistent with Hoyo's pattern of wrapping up a region with a final push of its major characters. So, if you missed any of the Natlan units so far or just want to complete your collection, 5.8 could be your last shot for a while. Moving on to version 6.0, and yeah, this is a big one because it kicks off the KRAI region. From what we know, the first half will introduce a new electro-male character designed as an electro-charged main damage dealer. Then in the second half, we'll see a new geo-female who focuses on crystallized reactions. And here's where we can start drawing on past patterns. Every major region launch begins with an Archon rerun. Fontaine began with Zhongli, Natlan had Raiden Shogun, and so on. So we can almost guarantee 6.0 will include either Venti or Farina. Venti makes a lot of sense lore-wise, especially if we're traveling to Nod KRAI through Natlan. That could easily bring him back into the story. But if it's the second half we're talking about, where the Geo female releases, Furina could also be a great fit. Geo units tend to benefit from strong off-field hydro application, and Furina's kit does exactly that, so her rerun timing would feel perfect, especially for synergy-driven players. As for which Natlan character gets a rerun here, it really depends on who didn't rerun in 5.8. If Chaska is in 5.8, then maybe we see Verisa here, or vice versa. Then we hit version 6.1. In the first half, there's going to be a new Pyro female character. Internally, she's being called Pyro Escoffier, and she's another 5-star. Alongside her, we're probably getting another Natlan rerun, again based on who's still missing from the rotation, and one more Archon rerun. No strong leads yet on which Archon, but if Venti or Furina doesn't rerun in 6.0, then this might be their window. Now, version 6.2 brings us another Pyro unit, this time a male character who's set up as a Vaporize-focused main carry. This is a big deal because for a region that's supposed to represent the Pyro element, Natlan really didn't give us many Pyro units. Outside of Mavuika, there's been a surprising gap in representation. So, this 6.2 Pyro male could be the redemption arc for Pyro mains looking for a true carry unit. Normally, we'd expect an Archon release here too, but Nod KRAI doesn't seem to have one. There's been no credible info about the Cryo Archon, the Tsaritsa, being playable during the 6.x cycle, which brings us straight into what might be the biggest banner of this entire period, version 6.3, featuring Colombina. According to the leaker White, her banner is set for this version, and there's a massive build-up around her. First, there's a cinematic teaser planned for around July 25th, and it's expected to be on the same level as Natlan's reveal trailer. Then, in version 6.0, we're getting a full animated short centered on her with high-end production. Think Honkai Star Rail levels of animation. That's already a huge deal. All of this is leading into 6.3, where she's expected to release as a 5-star Hydro main damage dealer. Her kit hasn't leaked yet, but internal testing suggests she could be meta-defining. Being Hydro, she's naturally compatible with top-tier reactions like Vaporize, Bloom, and Hyperbloom. And since we're not getting an Archon in Nod KRAI, Colombina is being positioned to essentially fill that gap. She's the narrative centerpiece, the monetization push, and the big emotional driver of this new region. The way Hoyoverse is building up to her release with delays, teasers, and cinematic content feels very intentional. They're banking on her to carry not just the 6.3 patch, but the entire 6.x era. And honestly, it's working. The anticipation is already sky high. There's also an Anemo female unit coming in the second half of 6.3, and she's rumored to be focused on Swirl Bloom team setups. That's a niche playstyle that hasn't had a proper dedicated unit before, so it could open up some really interesting team comps. If Columbina is the meta Hydro enabler, then this new Anemo unit might be the tactical piece you need to make unconventional Bloom teams work better in Spiral Abyss or harder content. Now, something else worth mentioning is the Chronicled Wish, because based on the current rerun gaps, it looks very likely that we'll see a Sumeru-focused Chronicled Wish in the early part of the 6.x cycle, and a Mondstadt one possibly later on. If you take a look at the banner waitlist, several Sumeru characters are starting to stack up. We're talking about units like Sino, Nilu, Alhaitham, many of whom haven't rerun for over 10 patches. That's the exact window where characters usually start coming back, and it's getting a bit crowded. So, a Sumeru Chronicled Wish sometime in version 6.0 or 6.3 seems not just likely but honestly necessary if Hoyoverse wants to avoid back-to-back reruns clogging up limited slots. On the Mondstadt side, the wait times are even longer. Eula and Albedo have both been sitting at 11 patches, and even Klee and Venti are starting to feel overdue. But here's the thing. While Mondstadt has some of the longest gaps, it also has fewer characters overall. So, a Chronicled Wish for them feels more likely to happen later, maybe around version 6.4 or 6.5, once the new region rhythm settles in and we're due for another nostalgia-themed banner. So, now that you've got the roadmap, I'm curious. Who are you saving for? Do you think Colombina's hype is justified, or are you more excited for that Pyro Vaporize carry in 6.2? And what do you think about INEFFA's design and gameplay? Let me know in the comments below.